I just want to throw out one idea and I want to take your temperature on what you actually feel about it. One of the things that generally enrages me about education is uh, it's almost like it's put large swaths of people, millions of young kids on one timetable. Okay. And that is deeply troubling because forget the fact that there are health issues, there are self-esteem issues, there are knowledge acquisition issues. Let's park all that for a second. You have built this entire mimetic machine where every child and every parent and every administrator sequentially believes that by 18 you should be done with 12th, by 24 you should be done with your by 22 you should be done with your final year of your undergrad, by 24 you should be done with your MBA, by 28 you should be married, by 30 you should be a parent. And it's so deeply ingrained and nobody talks about it. So what are your thoughts on whether we are robbing kids of their ability to control their own time from a lifetime perspective and not from a hours and seconds perspective?
I think you're completely spot on. And that's why if you give kids the freedom when they're young to do what they want, their ability to take advantage of this freedom when they become older is automatically ingrained. So these the kids who are not going to take orders from someone just because someone tells them. They will reason first principles. That's fine. That might work for you, but you know what? It doesn't work for me. You have enough confidence to be able to say, I think that's great, but you know what? I will master the subject, but I will master it on my own terms. And I don't want to read this particular textbook, but I'd rather watch these 4 videos on YouTube because that's my preferred learning style. So again, I think it all boils down to the fact that if we put the student at the center of all our attention, our focus, I think a lot of these things will automatically fall into place. Partly we are burdening our kids with our unfulfilled ambitions. We're partly burdening our kids with all our unfulfilled dreams. We think that just because we've given birth to our kids, because we are older than our kids, we know what's right for them. And I think that in itself is so completely broken. So I think unless we start with a certain degree of intellectual humility, that we cannot be preparing our kids for a future 10 years down the road where most probably we won't be around. And the world will look very different from what it is today. And if we keep on spoon feeding them, we will actually clip their wings and they'll never be able to fend for themselves. And I think that's something which is definitely possible for us to start off with. The answers are already in the kid. We need to help the kid find these answers for themselves rather than teach the kid what we think the kid needs to know. And I think it needs a certain mindset change. And I think when you allow your kid to succeed in certain areas, whatever that area may be, your kid has become a tennis star, I think that's perfect. Your kid has become a chess champion, that's perfect. Those are transferable skills. Not that you can transfer your ability to play chess on a football field, but you can transfer your ability about how you learn to play chess to anything else which is going to come your way. So, what did you do? You decided to hang out with friends, you played a number of chess games, you watched a number of videos, you read a number of books, whatever worked for you. There are multiple different learning pathways. We need to respect students that they will be able to find their pathway if we allow them the freedom and the ability to be able to explore them. One size cannot possibly fit all. How could that possibly work? And that's the great thing about the internet. There's just so much, there's a wealth of resources. We need to be able to tell our kids, figure out your resources for yourself. If you get stuck, we're there to be able to help you. Not that we will teach you. We will help you find additional resources, perhaps because you didn't find them. Maybe that additional resource could be another website, it could be another human being, it could be another student who's also on that learning pathway but is 2 years ahead of you. We don't know the answers to some of those questions, but we will help you figure that out. I think if you can encourage that kid to have that can do attitude. I can figure out anything for myself, whether it's addition, subtraction, geometry, learning history, or whatever else. Your kid's life is sorted, honestly. And I think that's far more valuable than, teaching a kid a curriculum or a syllabus or whatever else. But to your point, that needs to be engraved at a much younger age. Because by the time kids have passed out or gone to school, they're so used to being spoon fed, either by a classroom or a tuition teacher, whatever. I'm not saying the damage can't be undone, But it takes 1 year to undo 12 years of damage which schooling has done. And then perhaps they can then move on. So I think the sooner you nip that problem in the bud, sooner the easier. I think everything is repairable. I don't think anything is unrepairable. You need to give them little areas in which they can succeed when they start getting that sense of empowerment. Hey, you know what? I figured this out for myself. If I could figure this out, I can figure out the next thing and I can figure out the next thing. And if you take the approach that everything is figure outable, you're smart enough to figure everything out. And if you can't understand anything your teacher is saying, it's because that teacher is an idiot, not because there's anything wrong with you. And we'll help you find another teacher. And maybe that other teacher will be a real life teacher in another school. Maybe that other teacher will be an uncle. Maybe that other teacher will be another student who's 2 years ahead of you. Maybe that other teacher will be a book or a video or whatever else. I don't know that. Who will help you figure that out? You're smart enough to figure out stuff for yourself. I think if you give kids that particular attitude, they'll do fine.